This is the Gallagher Foundation Mentor Training. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to do this training and for committing to this relationship. I understand you all have very busy lives, and please know how much we appreciate this. 2016 was the first year of our mentorship program in South Africa, and we're continually looking for ways to improve and expand the program. We're looking for ways to better meet the needs of our scholars in the program, and what better way than to connect them with a Gallagher Scholar graduate. Your experience in understanding what they're going through can be very influential on your mentee. You may or may not have been a part of a formal mentor program at some point in your life. Even if you weren't, there have been many influential people in your life. Looking at your worksheet, look at the first two questions. When you have a big question or problem to work through in your life, who are you most likely to turn to for guidance and advice? For me, growing up, it was my parents, a few teachers, and a coach I had. Depending on the guidance I needed, influenced who I went to for the advice. Many times I got the advice even when I wasn't looking for it. That was usually how my dad delivered his advice, when you least expected it. Think about a person who works through these questions with you. What about their approach do you find most helpful and powerful? I find that it's not when someone outright tells you what to do or what to think, but when someone allows you to process and come to a conclusion based on your goals and beliefs that is most. We know that leadership's a very broad term. Adolf Hitler was a great leader, but he was a horrible person who did terrible things. We've spent some time bringing definition to the mission, vision, and core leadership traits that we want Gallagher Scholars to possess. The overall goal of the program is to educate the future leaders of your country. During this year, we hope that you'll be able to help the scholars build their leadership traits and assist them in developing their vision and mission. The mission of the Gallagher Foundation is young, educated leaders will bring peace and prosperity to the world. The Gallagher Foundation supports the visions of young leaders to positively impact their developing countries through college scholarships and membership with a community of scholars and alumni who share the same commitments. There are 5 distinct leadership traits of Gallagher Scholars. Gallagher Scholars are visionary. They're leaders who are passionate, optimistic, and able to inspire others to effect positive change around a shared vision for the future. Gallagher Scholars are ethical leaders who are honest, uncompromising in their values, and driven to do what is right. They are tolerant leaders who embrace the ideas and experiences of others and challenge themselves to grow through new perspectives. Gallagher Scholars are diligent leaders who take responsibility for their conduct and persevere in the face of adversity. And finally, they are committed leaders who are dedicated to their communities, countries, fellow Gallagher Scholars. A mentor is someone who spends time with another individual to help them grow, to be fulfilled and productive, and to make a positive contribution to the world. Mentoring can take place in a number of different settings, and it will look different for each of you. Some of you live very far away from Cape Town, so the meetings will be via Skype or phone call. Others of you who live in town will meet the mentee in person. Some of you have known your mentee when you were a scholar, if you're a recent graduate. Others of you, there'll be a large age gap, which can change relationship. We try to do our best matching up the mentee and the mentor based on profession, personality, but also the mentee's needs and request for what they wanted for a mentor. A mentee is the person who receives the support and advice from their mentor. Some relationships will be personal, while others will be much more professional. It all depends on your mentee's needs and where they are. It also depends on your comfort level. A mentor is a trusted listener, ongoing resource for assistance, discreet colleague, and a source of thoughtful guidance. Your experience either as a student or professional is the most valuable trait that you bring to the relationship. A mentor is not a counselor, therapist, or a solution to personal problems. You are not there to solve all their problems. And it's important that you set boundaries. Let the mentee know how and when they can contact you. Looking at your worksheet, your experiences, if you could go back in time and give your 18-year-old self one piece of advice about how to be successful in your university experience, what would it be and why? I often wish I could sit down with myself at 18 or 20 years old. I would have many things to share and advice to give. These scholars are close to graduation. Think about what you would have done differently or what you did that worked out really well. Looking at learning from your mistakes. It's important to note that mistakes help shape us. We all make mistakes, but it's the process of learning from them that's key. Your mentee can benefit from understanding that you're not perfect and that you make mistakes too. Some mentees might be intimidated by you. It will be good for them to hear about mistakes. The mentor-mentee relationship typically goes through 3 stages. The first, developing rapport and building trust. Building trust may take time for some scholars, and others it will be much more quick. On your worksheet, see Section Ideas section at the end of the packet. It provides open-ended questions to ask your mentee when getting to know them. Session 1, ask about them. Ask about their family. Ask about their classes. What are their interests? Tell them about you. Ask them how they like to communicate, and tell them what you want from you. Session 2, if you're located in Cape Town, you may want to get together with your mentee and do something fun together. The next phase is the strength findings and setting and reaching goals. Before session 3, you and your mentee will have taken the Gallup Strengths Finder, only if you've never taken it before. Then before the goal setting phase, talk about their top 5 strengths and what that means. This will help shape the goals you set for them. Next, help your mentee identify goals they want to accomplish. If you're familiar with setting SMART goals, which is outlined in the back of the packet, use this technique. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. If not, in the back of the packet, we have provided further in-depth explanation of GROW and SMART models. In summary, break it down in small steps and explore ways of reaching these goals. On your worksheet in the goals section, we ask that you think back to when you were in your mentee's shoes. Did you already have an articulated goal in mind for yourself and your future? If yes, what steps did you take during your university years to achieve that goal? And if not, when were you able to define a goal for yourself? Think about your life now. Do you have professional goals? Do you have personal goals? Ask yourself, how can this self-reflection of your goals help you in assisting your mentee in their goal setting? Finally, the last phase is bringing closure to the relationship. Figure out how you two are going to stay in contact after the mentor program is concluded. Looking at the timeline for the year, it's the goal of the program for you to meet monthly. Once you set a time to meet, try to stick with it. Mentors and mentees have found that once you get in the habit of scheduling and rescheduling, it becomes harder and harder to make that commitment. And then finally, at the end of the year, we'll be sending out a survey for you to fill out about how the year went. That information is incredibly helpful to us, so we appreciate you filling that out to let us know how the year went for you. Next steps. Review the timeline, handbook, and suggested activities. Contact your mentee to schedule their initial rapport building session with you. Ensure that you're connected with the South African mentor group on WhatsApp for support. We're going to ask both you and your mentee to take the Gallup Strength Finder if you've never taken it before. Then begin to think about the goal setting process. Lessons learned. This relationship will only work if both the mentor and mentee are committed to it. We ask that the mentor initiate the first meeting, and then after that, it's important both parties initiate the meetings. One of the biggest challenges for mentors is finding a time to meet each month that works for both you and your mentee. Try to find a time that works for both of you and stick to it. Many mentors say that once you start rescheduling, it gets difficult to find a time to be committed to and to make it a priority. The mentors who have had the most success often give their mentee a challenge for them between each meeting. If your mentee is shy and feels awkward speaking in front of a group, challenge them to speak in public before your next meeting. Use the Strengths Finder to help identify their strengths, but also look at areas they can improve given their strengths. If you live in Cape Town or are there to visit, it's often helpful to see your mentee in person. Do something fun with them. Take a hike or go to a movie to get to know them better. New to the program is we're also having the mentees take a training so they understand what the expectation of the programs are. And we've also asked each of the mentees what they want from a mentor so we can make better matchups. Please don't hesitate to ask for help. And thank you. We appreciate your commitment very much.